This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 115. Fire!
Welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Matt.
I'm Jamie D.
I'm Peter Rios.
Oh, by the hammer of Thor!
Oh, man. This episode of Comic Geek Speak is sponsored by Joe Sergi, who posts on the forum as Justice. He wants you to go out and buy absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing won't keep your book safe. It isn't enjoyable to read, and if you go to this year's Absolutely Nothing, you won't meet anyone. Why should you go out and get absolutely nothing? Simple. You can't beat the price. Now you are wondering, how does one make money on absolutely nothing? Quite simply, volume, volume, volume. Certain restrictions apply. Absolutely nothing has not been tested by the FDA. Do not taunt absolutely nothing. In certain tests, absolutely nothing was determined to cause the following: zilch, apathy, and boredom. See our ad in this month in Nowhere. One should always contact a physician before attempting absolutely nothing. Thank you, Joe. It's hard to read because it's so weird, you know.
I just completed my collection of absolutely nothing.
Oh, did you?
It took me a long time to get it.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
I'm trying to sell mine on eBay.
What's your starting bid?
Let's say how much your starting bid.
Nothing.
All right. For this episode...
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, we should do a quick reminder
yes.
about the contest.
Yes.
This month's contest, picture contest. Stand in front of a sign, a street sign, a billboard, whatever, something comic-related. Get a sign up that says CGS and have a prop that's related to that comic reference, prop, costume, whatever, and send it in. You can't use one that you already used. The winner will win the first 4 Walking Dead trades, so generously donated by Sandman300. Just one picture, or what? Can they submit more than one?
Oh, they can submit as many as they want.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We encourage multiple submissions.
Yeah.
And also a reminder that this month's Book of the Month Club selection is V for Vendetta from Alan Moore and David Lloyd, and you can get that at InStockTrades.com for 40% off. And for the bulk of our episode, we have an interview with writer, artist, and letterer Chris Eliopoulos. So here's Chris. Chris?
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, a little quiet, but I got you.
All right. I'm here with Matt, Jamie, and Peter.
Nice. All right. Before we even start, Jamie has to put 25 cents in the jar.
Because I didn't know your name?
No, because you know I was a letterer and not an inker.
Oh, okay.
Say, you call me an inker of Savage Dragon.
Okay. All right, I'll put it in.
Put that quarter in.
I don't have a quarter. I'm poor.
Yeah.
I spent my last quarter on Franklin Richards.
There you go. Okay, even better. Even better. Where does that money go to, by the way, if you actually put quarters in?
That's what keeps Peter going since he doesn't have a job.
It's going to the actor fund.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, yeah. Oh, you're a waiter, Peter. Huh?
Oh, jeez.
Nice. So what's shaking over there?
You know, the usual.
The usual. Porn and peanuts, huh?
and not in that order?
Yeah, well, you know. The peanuts come from the porn, so. Nice.
So welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks, guys. It's a quiet night. How many? There's only like 4 of you there, huh?
Yeah. Slow night.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We were just getting started. I mean, come on.
The other guys heard it was you that we were going to interview, and
Everybody was bored. They're like,
they ran.
Well, I don't want to talk to that loser for. I got better things to do. I got porn and peanuts at home.
Oh, man. So for the listeners who don't know, Chris is a man of many talents. He's a letterer.
None.
What did you say?
And a master of none.
Yeah. Letterer. And you're also illustrating the Franklin Richards thing from Marvel, right?
Yeah, and writing it, too, so.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm sort of co-writing it with Mark Sumerak. We sort of work on it all together, and then I go to town, so.
How about a quick little bio of your career?
Oh, God. You really want this one?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll love this one because it involves Gene Colan, so it's an even better story. Basically, not really into comic books. What happened to the first question about when I first got into comic books?
All right.
Go right ahead.
You blew it already.
Well, when I said bio, I meant, just some titles you worked on, not your life story.
Wasn't the first question you ask everybody? See, I listened to the show, right?
It does.
Yes,
it does. Yep, you caught us with our pants down. Peanuts and porn.
Porn and peanuts again. See?
My pants are on, but Peter's running around commando here.
There's a sight that won't be erased from my memory for long. Let's see. So basically, not into comic books. I was into comic strips and cartooning, but never really into comic books. I was going to the Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan and had to take a minor. I took a minor in illustration. I was doing advertising and graphic design because, the parents always make you do things that are supposed to make money and not lose money, like cartooning. And one of the night courses I took was sequential art with a guy named Gene Colan.
Wow.
Not a clue who he was. And it's funny because nowadays people would kill to be in that class.
Right.
Great guy, very into movies and the storytelling of movies and all that kind of stuff was great. His favorite movie is To Kill a Mockingbird, and actually played it there. He said he watches it like once a week or something like that. He was telling us. But,
wow.
Which is insane, but I guess he just loves the storytelling. And so right about that time, I had to do an internship for my final year of college. And I had gone to a few different places where it was basically advertising, graphic design places, and it was suits and ties and obnoxious people. And Gene took us to Marvel one night on a field trip, or one day. And I walked in the door, and a guy comes walking by with a ripped T-shirt, ripped sweats, and flip-flops. I said, I got to work there. And I applied for an internship and literally just got in like right there. They put me in the production department, and I also worked for an editor as well. And I think I came in right around the same time as Tom Brevoort. The two of us kind of came in together. And basically they hired me right out of college. I started freelance for a couple months right out of college. They hired me on staff. I worked there for 2 years. Took the lettering gig because it made more money than production. And then it was like right around the boom of the 90s where everybody was making, 1 billion books. And so I had enough books, I went freelance and have been freelance ever since. So that's pretty much the Reader's Digest version. And there's my dog. That means my family's probably home. Up, and they're walking in the door. I knew this was going to happen. See? Guys, say hello.
Hello.
All right. See, Brian, this is what you're going to have to deal with.
That's right. I got a few more months.
Yeah, you got time, and the kids are going to be running the door, screaming, yelling. The dog's going to bark. Although you have big dogs, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the little yappy dogs that don't shut up.
So in the midst of being in Gene Colan's class, is that when you started to discover comics, or had you done that a little earlier than that?
Well, I always knew they existed, and my beginnings were sort of. My father worked for American Airlines, the airline.
Right. Yeah.
And
Place where the airplanes are.
A trucking company, And so we'd always take flights. We'd get these free flights everywhere. You'd go on standby and you'd get on. And in the day, they used to have these comic books inside the airplane, like for kids. The old Harvey stuff, like Casper the Friendly Ghost and Richie Rich and all that kind of stuff. And they would give out these free comic books to the kids. So I used to get those, which is very cartoony, not superhero-ish. And then I remember my father used to take me and my sister to like the local Five and Dime or whatever you want to call it, and would say, "Go pick something, whatever you want." My sister would always get candy, and she's huge now. Oh. And I got a comic book, and I'm lucky if I'm $1.50. So I would get a little Flash comic book or something like that, whatever I would get. They didn't last long. I just ripped them to shreds and they'd go on their merry way. But so that was an introduction. In high school, I had a good friend who tried to get me hooked on comic books He was a big fan, would constantly throw stuff at me, a lot of the John Byrne stuff. But I sort of fell in a little bit with it, and kind of just as a friend, like you go, oh, okay, we'll share this interest. But I kind of fell out of it quickly because it wasn't very, cartoony, which is what I was into. So that was like my major knowledge of comic books. I didn't know much beyond that. Had to learn on the fly as I got into business. So I learned from the insiders, instead of just sitting at home and trying to read.
So does that translate into your reading nowadays? Like, are you still very selective?
Yeah, I still don't. I don't go to comic book shops. Most of the time, when I do go out to pick stuff up, it's cartooning books. It's the Calvin and Hobbes box set. It's the Far Side box set. It's the Bloom County books. It's the anything that's along those lines, I'll pick up. Love that stuff.
So why are we talking to you again? No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Well, because I'm in the business, so you're stuck with me.
Oh, right. Okay.
See, because I know all the dirty little secrets of everybody in the business, and now you're going to pry it out of me, and I'll tell you all the juicy gossip.
Well, you just spent a weekend with Eric Larson, so.
I know. My God, the guy is an animal. He doesn't stop. Everything is comic books with him. He literally took me around on Sunday. I think when I saw you guys that morning, we were on the rounds. He wanted to teach me about comic books further. Like, his thing was saying, look, you're great at cartooning. You're a good writer. You are stuck doing this joke every 4 panels thing, and he was trying to show me that there's a world beyond that in comic books. So literally, he took me around. I spent about almost $200 on comic books that Sunday. Just on, he was taking me to Acme Novelty Library and Seth Comics and all that kind of stuff, just to sort of get me to realize that I could do stuff like that and tell stories and stuff. But he's so immersed in it. If you ever wanted a crash course in comic books, just talk to Eric for a day. He's a maniac when it comes to. He knows every stupid little trivial thing you'd ever want to know about comic books. He knows everybody. He could look at a piece of artwork that you throw at him, and he could tell you who the artist was, what year it was, what book it probably was from. So that's a great way to learn comic books. Somebody who loves it so dearly that they're willing to immerse their lives in it. So.
That's cool. I mean, it gives you a little more respect for the guy as the guy in charge of Image. It's good to know that he's that serious about his comics. Oh yeah, I mean, and this is how serious he was. We're good friends, and he said he would publish anything I did. I mean, I could put toilet paper out, and he's like, "Got it, you're in." So I mean, and I was doing the Desperate Times stuff, which I had started in his book, and I sort of had gone through this whole big long road of dealing with syndicates and dealing with publishing, and I did 2 issues, and he took over as publisher, and we were talking about it, and he said, I want to get rid of the crap books. I got to get rid of the crap, and I want good books. And I'm sort of sitting there going, well, is my book crap? And he's like, well, I think you could do better than this. And so I took that as a hint that, go back to the drawing board, try something different. And so he's not willing to pull punches. That's the great thing about him, is that he'll tell you right, what he thinks, and you know where you stand. And so he doesn't compromise, even with his friends. You know what? This isn't the greatest stuff in the world you could be doing. Go out and do something better. And so I stopped the book there. But,
So what are your inspirations for your comic strips? What really excites you and makes you want to sit down and draw?
Usually, weirdly enough, anger. If I'm upset about something or if I'm annoyed by something, I want to get that down on paper somehow. I get annoyed with life, or I get annoyed with people. I'm driving down to Dunkin' Donuts to get a cup of coffee. Somebody cuts me off, and it's like, that's it, inspiration to write something down. In terms of who I look to as inspiration, in the past, it was, Charles Schultz, Burt Breathitt, obviously Bill Watterson, because everybody says so. Any cartoonist I've loved for years. Walt Kelly is phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if anybody has ever read Pogo stuff.
Yes, I'm old enough to have read Pogo stuff.
Yeah, well, I know you're old enough, but a lot of people don't even want to look at that stuff. It's it's sort of old and strips, and nobody's really interested.
No, that was one my dad liked, and when I first started getting into this stuff, he was like, "You got to read those." So I sat down and I read a bunch of them, and they're great.
Yeah, I mean, you really got to get into it because it is kind of thick. You know, it's just heavy, and there's not like a joke every 4 beats, and you sort of go, "Did I just miss something?" But the art is phenomenal, and it tells this story, and it keeps going, and that was great to look at. There was a time I was actually into this really old strip called Crazy Cat. Back in college, I was so into this strip. George Harriman was the guy's name. It was back in the 30s, 40s era, even earlier. And it was just a one joke. He had one joke the whole single time. It was a cat, a dog, and a mouse. The mouse hated the cat and would throw a brick at the cat's head. And the cat was in love with the mouse, and the dog was in love with the cat. And every joke just ended with a brick getting thrown at this cat's head. And that was it. But he lasted, 20 years or something like that he did doing this strip. It was just phenomenal. And then if you look at Patrick McDonald's stuff these days, who does Mutts, I mean, he's heavily influenced by George Harriman. So, it all comes around and around and around and around. But those are like the big names that inspire me. So, who inspires you? Oh, no answer now, huh?
No,
Corn and peanuts.
Food.
There you go. Nice.
It's just interesting to hear you talk about that, because of you say you're in the comic book business, but yet you're really going back to the roots of what comics grew out of. So
right.
And you don't see a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, right? Wasn't it originally they were Superman comic strips, and they got pulped together and printed up, and that became your first comic book. See, I learned things while I'm working in this business. I'm not totally ignorant.
Well, you do see people like the creators of Athena Vault, people releasing their stuff as web comics, but they always have the ulterior motive of putting it in a comic book eventually,
Right.
But it's still not true to the. I shouldn't say true, but it's still not the original, like you say, 4-panel joke, and that's it,
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, no, and every guy that's doing that kind of work right now, if you look at Scott Kurtz's stuff, as much as he's doing great with the work he's doing, I love looking at his stuff. In the back of his mind, he wants to get into newspapers, and I think that's everybody's goal. And it used to be everybody's goal years ago when they'd go into comic books sort of as a backup measure, but their dream was to get into comic strips. Even the ongoing stories that they used to have, like the Mary Worths and all that kind of stuff that everybody used to read back in the day. Everybody wanted to do Little Abner. That was, a big thing. Now it's sort of reversed. A lot of people, you either want to get into comic books or you want to get into comic strips, and you never can get the two together anymore. But I'm sort of doing both, I guess, in a sense. So,
is that a lucrative field to be in, newspaper comic strips?
It's interesting. The big name guys, it's lucrative. You get Schultz, who's still dead. He's making more money than I'll ever make, and which kills me. But anyway, but then you've got the lower tier guys that are making just enough to get by. It all depends on sales of the strips. Much like comic books, if you sell a certain amount of comics newspapers, you get revenue. So say each smaller paper gives you $5 per strip per day, and then some of the other ones, the larger ones in like New York or Los Angeles, Chicago, give you a little bit more. You're only making a certain amount of money, and you split it with a syndicate. Usually, it's like a 50-50 split. So some of these guys that you see in the newspaper are working a day job and then doing this thing at night, and maybe lucky, if they're getting $30,000 a year. So they're working hard and not getting a lot for it. Whereas if you're lettering, you're just making mint. See, I wasn't so stupid.
Hey, I want to ask a question.
No.
Excuse me. Okay, you're a fan of strips and you work in the comic industry. Mm-hmm. Why don't we see? Why isn't there a Spider-Man strip or a Batman strip? You'd think it would be a perfect outlet for DC or Marvel to get massive exposure on a daily or weekly basis. Mm-hmm. As a kid, I was reading the Sunday comics long before I ever read a comic book, and it just seems like couldn't they get somebody, of their multitude of talent that these two companies have? Why don't they do that?
Well, they do have a Spider-Man strip, and that shows you how much it's out there. Stan Lee actually writes the strip himself. I actually lettered that for a while. His brother, Larry, draws it, and then on the weekends it's a different crew. On Sundays it's a different crew. But they are doing it. I don't know if you remember a number of years ago, this is all my knowledge that I learned because I'm so smart and wise. And if you remember the point when Mary Jane and Peter got married, it was actually a newspaper event first. It was done in the newspapers before it was done in the comic books. At least this is what I was told. I mean, I wasn't there, so what do I know? But it's still there. They used to have a Hulk strip. They used to have a Superman strip. They used to have a Batman. They had a Star Wars strip. A lot of those ongoing things don't sell these days. The reason being that most people barely take a glance at the comic strip section and want their 1 second of joke. Like they usually say about a second and a half is spent reading a comic strip per day. So you've got about a second and a half to make somebody laugh, or they don't want to bother with it. So there's a lot of this where people don't want to be bothered reading. I mean, that's the biggest problem, mostly with newspaper industry and the comic book industry, is that nobody wants to read. People are somewhat lazy these days, and they just want it handed on the DVD and sit back, grab a beer, and put on their porn, and see, I went right back to the porn again. But that's why my thought was with Franklin when I tried to get Marvel to do this thing. I was kind of saying, look, everybody's looking at this comic strip stuff, and they want this 4-panel joke thing. They want something quick and easy, and they understand that. Why can't we do that in comic book format? To do quick little stories that are fun and interesting and cute, and you don't need a lot of background to know what's going on. And it took about 3 years before they decided to give it a shot. So now it's sort of working in reverse. I'm using, everybody's shorthand on comic strips and bringing it to comic books. So we'll see if it works, but we're trying. So,
how's that been selling so far?
Actually, pretty darn good. I was surprised. The first issue, I think they overprinted by almost double, and that sold out. So then they agreed to the second one, and I heard that one obviously did well enough because I'll make an announcement now that sort of hasn't gone around, and you can say that you guys got the exclusive here. Like, nobody really cares about this stuff, but
yeah, I care.
Yeah.
Marvel has agreed. We're going to be doing a couple more one-shots this year. So we're going to be doing more stories in the back of books. I think there's a one-page story that's going to be going in Marvel Previews, I think number 32, and then there's going to be a bunch more in backs of comics and stuff like that. And I'm not exactly, they haven't given me the exact date of the next one-shot, but there is going to be a couple more, and they want to continue doing it. So I think the numbers are good enough that they've already agreed to this stuff. So
that's great.
We'll
fantastic.
Who? What?
I said it's fantastic.
Fantastic 4. Good call. See, I like that connection.
Hey, Chris, I want to tell you. Gosh,
No.
Excuse me. I keep getting a crap in my
I'm so
throat.
impressed. You're so impressed by my presence. You're just hemming and hawing, right?
Yeah.
He's getting verklempt.
I got to tell you that when I first saw the Franklin Richards thing solicited, or maybe I saw the comic in the shop, I just kind of skimmed over and went, oh, okay, cutesy little Franklin Richards. Why do I, as an adult comic reader, why do I care? And I haven't ever, to be honest with you, I have not ever even opened up one of those comics. But when I saw you did a sketch for Jamie at the New York Con,
Yep.
and when I saw that, and I looked at it, and I guess there's always something about seeing art in person as opposed to after it's been printed in a comic. It's always better on the page.
Yeah.
And I looked at that, and I just went, okay, the next time I'm at the comic shop, I'm going to have to take a look at this, because that simple little sketch that you did, and I don't mean simple, I don't mean like demeaning you, but I mean, it was like, okay, I think I get this guy's talent now, and I think he deserves me to look at this book. That's an honest-to-God answer. I haven't been to the comic shop yet because it's been so crazy since the New York Con, but when I go, I promise you I will look for that.
Well, thanks.
That book.
But I mean, I don't deserve anything. It's that's the joy of this country and this industry. you're not obligated to do anything you don't want to do, and nobody's obligated to buy anything. Hopefully it appeals to people. I mean, the hardest part I've had to overcome is the fact that most people make the comparison that's just a ripoff of Calvin and Hobbes, and everybody just assumes that's what it is. But if you actually read the stories, it is a lot different. I know my art, it looks very similar, and it's got the pain in the butt kid and the sidekick, but it's a different dynamic, and hopefully we thought, if you see this stuff in the back of other comics, you sort of get the idea of what this is. And, I mean, I've had lots of adults tell me they love this thing. I mean, think about this one. You haven't read any of this, right, Brian?
Right.
Okay. What is the one thing you have never seen Reed Richards do in a Fantastic Four comic book in the past 40 years of its existence? Any clue?
Go to the bathroom.
He picked his nose in the first issue of Franklin Richards and flung it across the room. Come on. You got to see that. Right? That's worth the admission.
It's definitely... No.
Better than porn and peanuts, I mean.
Well, it's interesting because this makes me think of one of our listeners, Mike Parkinson, down in Australia.
Not him.
Are you familiar with him?
No, not at all. I just thought I'd say.
Oh, well, he does a comic strip that's on the web that you might find interesting.
Oh, yes, I do.
It's called Year One, the little,
yes.
kindergarten Marvel heroes.
Yes, didn't he do the drawings for your...
Yeah, he did our headshots, the little, yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, actually, I think he contacted me, and we kind of emailed back and forth a little bit. And I like his stuff. He sort of reminds me of Chris Eliopoulos, who does the mini Marvels.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that went over really well when that was in the Marvel bullpens.
Yeah, and that's coming out again. They're going to be doing that in the back of Power Pack in the next series.
So there is a precedence for this kind of stuff to exist at Marvel, which is nice for you.
Yeah, well, it's funny they got scared off by it. I think do you remember back in the days it was Spider-Ham and Fred Hembeck was everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Sergio was doing stuff left and right, and it was great stuff. And I think Marvel got very serious and sort of obviously there's that point where they wanted to rebuild and sort of get when Joe and Bill came in and sort of took over and really brought the company back. There wasn't a place for this kind of stuff, but there's that place now where they're going, let's have some fun and laugh at ourselves and laugh at everything. And I think they tried it out with Franklin, and they said, okay, this did pretty well. Let's continue on. And so they're going to start doing more stuff like that, which is great because it's diverse. It gets kids in. I mean, that's the key, especially with this industry. If you want to keep this industry going, we got to get the kids in the door. And the best way is to sort of introduce them early and not talk down to them, but have a lot of fun with them. And hopefully that's what this Franklin Richards stuff does. And the mini Marvels, they can just laugh and get a kick out of it. I mean, my kids took the book to school. I had a teacher contact me saying he's using it to teach his kids how to read, because they think it's just a lot of fun. And then I've got the adults who are going, I like this too. So, I'm going to go bang my head against the wall and wonder what the hell I got myself into.
Hooked on Phonics with Chris Eliopoulos.
There you go. I know, right? Could you see some kid in the corner alley somewhere shooting up? I'm hooked on phonics, dude. Whoa. All right, sorry. See, I don't stop. It all comes back to it.
How was your New York Comic-Con? Just to get off the track for a second, how was your experience there?
I know I sort of heard your recap stuff, and thank you, Jamie, for being totally generous and nice, and you shouldn't have said all that kind of stuff because it was wrong. But
well, you know where to send the check.
It's already in the mail, pal.
Cool.
It was interesting because it was twofold. I had Eric with me, which was phenomenal. So it's like you ever it's like walking around with Madonna next to you. Because everybody wants him, has to touch him, So it's fun because and I'm the short guy. Didn't we look like the superhero sidekick thing?
Right.
Yes. He would stand there and everybody would be up to him, and I'd be sort of watching the background and making sure the Joker didn't come and get him. But no, homoerotic sexual overtones to the relationship thing. So it was great. I'd walk through the con, and I'd walk ahead of him, and you'd hear people go, "Oh my God, it's Eric Larson! Talk to him!" And he would be oblivious to it, and they would always chicken out. And I'd always notice that he was more in his own comic book world. At one point, these two guys were like, "Oh my God, it's Eric Larson! You have to talk to him! Talk to him! Talk to him!" And they didn't say a word. And Eric was like, "Dude, did you see that?" And I'm like, "What? Those guys?" And he goes, no, that guy over there, he's wearing a shirt just like my character from my book. It's like, dude, what world are you living in? But he's so oblivious to it. He could care less about that stuff, which is great. I mean, it's so much fun to be around somebody like that who's totally clueless as to what's going on around them, and being that praised and looked up to is amazing, because he really is grounded. He doesn't care about that stuff. He cares about doing good comic books and finding good comic books, and that's what we did on Sunday. So it was a great con for me anyway. I mean, it was local. I know everybody got shut out on Saturday. Did you guys get shut out?
No.
No, I left the show floor for a little while and had to wait 2 hours to get back in, but other than that...
Oh, my God. See, that we refused to leave because of that reason.
Right.
Yeah, that's, I was kind of a prisoner there for the entire day.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they know next time to probably do the upper floor where they've got more room. And, if they can do the auto show upstairs, they can handle a bunch of comic book folks. But it was great. I mean, I had a ball. The best part of the night was actually, or the con was twofold. It wasn't at the con. Friday night we got to see, I know a couple of you guys, right? You went to the Todd McFarlane thing?
Well, we went on Saturday because we got our signals crossed with the guy in charge of it. I was going back and forth with him, and I just completely, I think he put down like the wrong day with the right date, or the right day with the wrong date, and I looked at the date, and then like he might have said Friday the 26th or something, and it was really Friday the 25th, and so I got to 26th stuck in my head, and it sucked. But we missed the special Friday exclusive one. Yeah.
Well, you went to the Saturday one?
Yeah.
How late was he on Saturday? Because I never heard how late.
Well, let's put it this way: we left at 10:15, and he still hadn't shown up yet.
Yeah. Can I tell you why?
Because he was hanging out with you?
We were having dinner.
And Kevin and I were sitting there. We were starving because we raced there after the show, and we didn't have time to eat.
Well, see, you want to hear the whole story, what happened? Because it's really surreal.
Do it.
Okay.
Okay. This is the fun part of being inside the industry because, again, Todd is a great guy. I've worked with him. I actually I lettered his last issue of Spider-Man, the famous one that made him walk off. Did he give you the speech the whole night? Did he walk you through the stuff?
No, well, we left before he came.
Really?
Yeah, because it was so late, and we had a million other things on our agenda, and it was getting to be outrageous. So
yeah, the best part of it was listening to talk. And I've talked to him before. We've been on the phone, and it's like a simple conversation of like, "Hey, can you get me this stuff?" And it turns into a 2-hour conversation. He just is a great person to talk to and a great speaker. And so Friday night we went to that show, and he spoke for like 2 hours talking about his work. And speaking of inspirations, he's like an inspiration just in that his story. If you ever get the chance to look at the Mocha thing, you got to go. It's totally impressive in how he worked his career and actually got started. So Saturday night we were heading out. Me and Eric were going to go home. We were beat. Todd comes up and just says, "Hey, man, you want to go get some grub?" So we're like, "All right." So he's got some of his guys that are working with him, and then so we decided to finally we're going to go up to some steak place, and we run out to the front of the hall, out in front of the Javits Center, and we can't find a cab to save our lives. We got 9 people, and we can't get a cab, and lo and behold, this limo just pulls up, and the guy's like, "You guys need a ride?" So literally, the 9 of us packed into this limo, for like $5 a person, and they drive us up to this place called Gallagher's, this big famous steakhouse. We walk in. Now we already know Todd's already late. I mean, this is like after the show, we're super late. The maitre d' kind of comes up, and I said, "We got 9 people. Do you have room for us?" And he goes, I don't know. I don't know if we got a table. And as he's starting to turn away, he goes, "But a little money would help." And walks away. So I went, holy crap! Okay, this guy wants to be greased. So I was out of money. I spent all my money on comic books that day. I mean, I know you guys know that feeling.
Yeah.
And so I turned to Eric. I'm like, "You got to give me $20." And he's like, "What the hell for?" Just give me the $20. So I greased the guy $20, and we get right in. The guy's like, "Okay, your table's all ready." And there was another group of people there, and one of the people was a woman, and she was pregnant. And Todd goes, "Why are we going in ahead of these people?" I said, "Don't worry about it. I took care of it." He goes, "You greased the maitre d' to go ahead of a pregnant woman?" So I'm like, I'm feeling all guilty and stuff, but I'm like, "Dude, we got to get you to the show. You're supposed to be doing a speech." we literally sit down, and his phone rings, and I guess it's the guy from
Sean
Mocha
from the Mocha. Yeah.
Hey, you're going to be here soon? Todd's like, yeah, we're just finishing up. I'll be there in a few minutes.
Oh.
And so we're like shaking our heads, like he's got to be doing this all the time. And so he hangs up, and we literally had a great dinner. He and I talked baseball for an hour, which killed Eric because it wasn't about comic books. So God forbid. And it was a great night. And then, of course, he picked up the bill. I mean, how cool is this guy? I mean, this is not a cheap place, And he just was like, "Yep, I took care of it. See you guys later." And he drove down to Mocha. He took a cab down to Mocha, which was a great night. That was like the night.
It was great for you.
Yeah.
So I figure you either owe me a steak or you owe me an interview with Todd McFarlane.
I know. You know what it is? That hour that he should have been talking to you guys, he was talking to me about baseball. So.
Well, that was the whole plan when Todd arrived. The plan was to bring him into the back room. Kevin and I were going to do a quick 10 or 15-minute interview, just talking to Todd about the Mocha thing. And then he was going to go out and talk to the crowd. Well, when it got to be so late, I said to Sean, the curator, I said, Sean, when he walks in here, you can't take 15 minutes with him because the crowd is going to go ballistic if they know he's here and he's not talking to them. He said, yeah, you're right. I said, thank you for not, making us wait another 10 minutes. I'm like, dude, we'll talk about the Mocha, we'll just skip the Todd thing. And so we still want to talk to Todd, but, getting through his, people, I mean, how the hell do you contact him? It's like, it's like getting the president on the phone. So.
I know, see, but that's, it's the same thing. I mean, even walking out of there, most of the waiters, the staff were just kind of coming and going, they didn't give a hoot, which they should. But at the end, I guess the people that he has working for him, they live out here, the toy guys, the research and development, the designers and stuff. So they don't see Todd very often. They start hauling out stuff for him to sign. So we're in the middle of this restaurant getting up to leave, and he's signing baseballs. Next thing you know, this is a baseball place. They have all sports artwork up on the walls, and it's a big thing. And they're all looking over the shoulders, who is this guy? What the which is impressive, and you just feel like you're above the world when you see that kind of stuff going on. So I formally apologize on that, and I'll make it up to you guys. I'll take you all out to a steak dinner next time we go to a con together.
So I think one thing we found out the true demise of the Image partnership was Todd was talking baseball and Eric wanted to talk comics.
Oh, he was so mad at me. But you know what? I made up for it, though. He, years ago, my kid's here, and he knows I'm on the phone, but he still talks to me. I don't know. Go upstairs. See, this is great to hear on the audience. Okay, so years ago, we were at the San Diego Con, and again, it was with Eric, and we were going out to dinner, and it was Tom Brevoort, Kurt Busiek, Eric, and I. Most people in their right minds who are into comic books would think this is the greatest thing they've ever done. Go out with three people who so love comic books, know everything about all these comic books. I was bored to tears. They were discussing, remember that Fantastic Four number 92, page 16, panel 3? You see where the Hulk's, the Thing's hand goes I literally had to go to the bathroom and, splash water on my face, like the old cliche. I was bored to tears, and it was just, I didn't know what to do. And poor Eric is like, you all right, man? I'm like, dude, this is the most boring conversation I've ever had in my life. I think I said 2 words the whole time. So when we had the dinner with Todd, I felt justified that I could talk baseball and let him sit and fall asleep. He was falling asleep. He was like, dude, I'm bored to tears. I'm like, ha, ha, ha. Now you know. Listen to this. I got my kid talking to me now. Do we have a Thomas blanket? See, Brian, if you have a boy, you can go to Lancaster, and you can go see Thomas the Tank Engine.
There you go.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. That's the big thing.
Where is that in Lancaster?
Strasbourg?
Is it Lancaster? What's the train museum that's over there?
Strasbourg.
Strasbourg, that's it. Lancaster's right next door, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the same general area.
Every couple of, I think it's September and July. Oh, my kid is attacking me. You hear this? Look at this.
When children attack.
This guy's he's jumping on me. He likes Star Wars, by the way, so he's turning into a geek. In case you guys
That's
are
good.
interested.
That's good. You got to bring him up right.
Except, you know what it is? He's into the clones, and he's not into the original trilogy. So you know what? Now he's getting in trouble.
Uh-oh.
I have to teach him right, though. I'm like, forget the clones. It's Han Solo, dude, and he shot first, so don't even start. But yeah, I mean, who's into? You know, he's like into the new stuff. I don't know what that is.
Well, I guess Lucas wasn't so dumb after all.
I know,
right.
he's got the kids hooked on this new stuff. The old stuff was it for me. I don't know about you. I mean, I was like perfect age. I saw Star Wars when I was 10 years old. You know, so
Yep.
I mean that was prime age.
So I wanna ask you about lettering, because we haven't spoken to any letterers yet.
Thank
and,
God. We're as boring as sin.
Well, you're in good company. I mean, if you letter, write, and draw, you could be in the same class as Stan Sakai, and that's a good place to be, right?
Hey, yeah, you know, and even on the first Franklin, I actually colored it myself too.
Wow, there you go.
So, I mean, I'm not as good as Soto, but you know, he's up at the top there. So
you know, you said when you took the gig at Marvel, and one of the things you got to do was letter. What was how did they train you? Did you take to it quickly? And what was the deal with that?
Well, I started in the production doing paste-up stuff, and Ken Lopez, who built up the DC in-house lettering that's there now, was a good friend of mine. Well, not a good. He became a good friend of mine, but he basically said, you know what? You know graphic design, you know lettering, you know this kind of, you know, because I took courses on it at college. I never knew hand lettering stuff, but he said, you know what? This is what you need to be doing. This is where you need to go. So he basically trained me every day. I would do my work during normal work hours, and then at lunch, my lunch hour, I'd literally just run down, grab a sandwich, and practice lettering at my lunch hour, and do it at home after work or whatever it was, and just sort of build up the thing. What I normally would do is just take Xeroxes of lettered pages and go over it and line them up and just practice lettering like somebody else, and like Kenny and Bill Oakley and Jim Novak and Gaspar Saladino and people that you don't even know, because nobody cares about the lettering, which is great.
I know those names.
Yeah, well, you know, see, I'd rather nobody know me. That's why I get weirded out by this kind of stuff, because it's like you shouldn't know or recognize the lettering. It should sort of just stand on its own.
Todd Klein.
You know, I mean, there are some people who like, you know, who are, you know, Ors, Tom Orzechowski, and
Comicraft, Richard Starkey.
and Comicraft. You know, they're great guys, and they do great work. So that's great stuff. But so I basically learned under Kenny, and their philosophy, at least through the Marvel system, was be anonymous. Don't stand out. You know, you're not the star of the book. If somebody notices your lettering, then you're doing something wrong. And so that's what I learned under. And so I did that for a couple of years, like a year and a half or something like that, on staff. And I guess I got good enough that I was getting freelance books. So I was working during the day, and then I would go home and letter a book at night. So I was actually making more money at home at night than I was during the day. And so I just said, you know, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to, if I could do this at night, I could do it all day long and make twice as much. So that's what I did. I went freelance, and I worked like a fool. There were points where I think I was hand lettering like almost 30 books a month.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was insane. It was right around that Image boom. You know, Image came in, and you know, I had a bunch of books from Marvel. I had a bunch of books for DC. I was doing Image books, and I just was like, I got my father's work ethic in me or something, and he was just like, work, get it, because it's going to go away someday. So I just worked, lettered, and you know, I mean, it was just insane. I mean, there were points where you just go, I can't believe I just did that. You know, there was a crossover between Valiant and Image. I think it was called Deathmatch. Is that right?
Deathmate.
And the one I was doing was Jim Lee's studio, was Wildstorm, and then Top Cow, or I guess it was Silvestri's at the time, and they had split the book. And they had me letter this book. I literally had to letter it overnight. It was like 38 pages or something like that.
Yeah.
I did it overnight, you know, and I couldn't believe it. I looked at it months later. I'm like, wow, I can't believe it actually turned out pretty good, considering I just did this in 24 hours.
Wow.
And great thing about that point was they were giving out royalties. So I actually made $14,000 on one night's work.
Wow, that's a good haul.
Yeah, that was the big one. Like, everybody thinks like I keep making that kind of money, but I'm not. But that was like the epitome. That was like, holy crap! I can't believe I just did that, and it actually paid for helped pay for the first house I got. So, but it hasn't been like that since. It's sort of everything declined and stuff. But and then eventually, as I was lettering, Richard started doing the computer lettering, and I saw the writing on the wall and said, "Oh, this is the way. You got to do this." So I started picking it up on my own. A lot of people didn't, and they sort of fell behind, and that's why you don't see a lot of people doing this nowadays. Because they never picked up the computer lettering, they never figured out how to make fonts, they never figured out the way to do this stuff, and so all these great letterers are gone now. I mean, these are people who now work in florists and and stuff like that, which is just absolutely sad.
So it's almost like the opposite effect of what happened with computer coloring. When there was when the coloring went to the computer end, all of a sudden everybody was a colorist.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, but what's great is now you've weaned a whole new generation on learning color theory, but also learning how to do it on the computer. And I think we're starting to get that with the computer lettering stuff now. Like, I'm bringing up new guys that have design sense, and you have to sort of mold them and just teach them the way Kenny taught me to hand letter. I'm now teaching these guys how to computer letter with the same thoughts and the same eye for this detail.
I would like to ask a question about that. In 1994, I helped contribute to the creation of a comic, and one of my roles was the letterer.
Oh, you poor thing!
And all I did was use the Comic Sans font and type it into word balloons, print them out on stickers, and then cut out around the word balloon and stuck it onto the comic page.
Yep.
And I used no real science to it. It was just the same font for everything, and I just basically typed out whatever the guy gave me on the script. And I don't doubt for a second that there's obviously much more craft involved. But what makes it different from just typing what they give you or copying and pasting what they give you in the Word document into your whatever program you use and printing out? Where's the art in there?
Same. It's absolutely the same. No, I'm kidding. God, you're trying to ask me to encapsulate what I do in like 50 words or less, which is really hard.
No. You take as much time to talk about as you
need. You guys have enough to do tonight. Don't you have to go and watch porn and
eat peanuts?
Sorry, I always get onto a theme and I never let it go. The key with lettering, for the most part, I mean, most of the word balloon stuff should be pretty plain and simple. You don't want to go over the top, and it should be almost like you want a nice, well-shaped balloon. It doesn't cover over any artwork. And then there's those moments where you need to step out a little bit and help tell the story. Basically, that's what we're doing. I mean, I try to stay out of the limelight, and then there are moments when you want to stand out. There's a moment, in a movie where there's a big crash, and you want to hear that big giant sound effect, or you want to hear somebody screaming at the top of their lungs. The same thing should come across in the lettering. If somebody is upset or somebody's shouting, you want to see that lettering kind of big and bold and open and explaining to the reader subtly, or subconsciously that this person is upset or excited or, freaked out about something. Or if there's, a sound effect that covers an entire page, that's a pretty darn big sound effect. A train falls on a guy's head, that's going to be a big, loud sound effect. But, what you want to do is those quiet moments, where it's people talking, you want to just stay off of it and stay away and not clutter things up, I mean, you don't want to have, like, the guy talking and have a balloon over his head. I mean, obviously that's not something anybody normally would do, but, a lot of it is sort of knowing when to stay out of the way and knowing when to jump in and, like, say, and there's my son again, right in the middle of a rant. Do you hear this? Brian, your life is over. Do you see what I have to deal with? Brian, get out while you can. Run. See? Now my son is attacking me again. See? But he's got all his R2s over here, so, he's good. But that, a lot of it now, it used to be when you were hand lettering it, there was that artwork of training your hand to make these letters consistently. I mean, if you look at Tom Wasikowski's hand lettering work, you can see he almost is like a machine. The goal was to be, so tight that every R would look like the next R, no matter what. The computer, you've already got that, so it's doing it for you. And now it's just a matter of having that graphic design skill of looking at, where balloons go and make them aesthetically pleasing.
What about the actual content in the word balloon? Like, is there such an art of like placing the word so that it's pleasing to the eye, so that it doesn't jump to a new line in like a weird middle thought or something? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, a lot of that is also just trying to know where to break the lines so that you have a nice clear balloon where there's not a lot of white space around it, or it's too tight, or words get broken up and it becomes hard to read, and I don't say there's an art to it, but there is a craft to it, and there's a practice to it, and there's doing it so much that you get used to it. I'm sure, like when you're doing your jobs, you learn shortcuts around doing things, or you know as you're doing it, you automatically know without having to think about it that this is the right way to do it. And that's what it takes after a while. And luckily I had that learning curve where I learned by hand lettering it, and I know, because, obviously if I can letter 4 pages in an hour, give or take. In the day, I was lucky if I was doing a page an hour. And so you really had to put the time into paying attention to what you were doing. Nowadays, it's, I know it so quickly, I'm just passing that along to the other guys that are working for me. So.
Hey, who decides which words? Like, oftentimes, it seems like in every other word balloon or something, there's one word that's either bolded or italicized or whatever. Who decides that?
The writer and artist usually have the most say. The writer usually, because it's their words. So you're dealing with pretty strict stuff. I mean, they won't give you like it's super bold, or they'll maybe put a couple underscores on there. But for the most part, they will bold words. They'll let you know what needs to be bolded, and maybe sometimes what needs to be even bigger than that. So for the most part, my job is thoughtless. I can listen to podcasts all day and work, so that pretty much tells you.
Because sometimes those words that are bolded are like, they just don't seem to be important words, and I'll reread it like 4 or 5 times, trying to decide, okay, why is that important? Or isn't it actually the word before that's the one that should be emphasized?
As a guy who's writing, too, I sort of get that as well. What is it that makes the word bold? Is it the way that somebody's speaking? Or is it the way their inflection goes? Or is it an important word that needs to be done? As my wife is talking in the background on the other phone. Everybody say hi to my wife. Hi, wife.
Hi, wife.
Okay, well, as long as I'm not alone in that, because I was...
No.
Sometimes it makes perfect sense, and sometimes it seems to be completely
arbitrary,
off base. Yeah, whatever, right.
Yeah, I get that, too, because, I also, as I'm doing it, I'm reading it, because, part of this gig is also knowing what the story's about, so you want to tell it the way the writer wants it to be told. But sometimes you're like, okay, this guy just said, I want to go out to dinner. And it was like, I want to go out to dinner. And it was like, what?
Right, exactly.
And you kind of go like, well, what does that mean? Like, is he trying to inflect something there? Like, like, I'm going out to dinner? Like, I don't know. And I sit there and go, okay, I don't get this. Some people, it's funny. Some folks will not put any bolds in. Other folks, it's like every other word.
Right.
And it's like sort of like, you sometimes I sit there all day going, do these guys even read a comic book? Do they even know what goes on? Like, I don't know what's supposed to be bold, so I'm going to bold every other word. And which of course drives me crazy, but hey.
Now, I'm sorry, Peter.
I was going to say, how many letterers have we lost to a Kevin Smith script or Kevin Keith
dear God.
Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis, like when they do Defenders?
Oh yeah, or Brian or.
Yeah,
or Bendis. Yeah, how many letters go insane when they get a script like that?
If I was doing it by hand still, I probably would have given up. My hand would have fallen off. Nowadays, it's not as bad. it's still crazy, but I don't think we've lost one yet. But it's
no one's gotten carpal tunnel.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got the Wacom tablet going. That's the savior of me. I don't know if you've ever seen those Wacom tablets.
Oh yeah, my wife has one right here.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it saved me. I think, because I know a couple other guys who have been using a mouse that after a while they're just like, oh my God, just shoot me, stick a knife in my forehead, it'll be less painful. So, yeah, that's a wonderful little thing. But what's interesting though is a lot of those guys that do the heavy talking, they're also the ones that will go for pages without saying anything at all at certain times, and you sort of do a trade-off. You go, all right, Brian babbled on endlessly for 6 pages, but then I got like 7 pages of like 2 sound effects, the whole thing. So you're like, yeah, because we get paid whether or not there's lettering on the page. Because
that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned about creating your own fonts and stuff. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you've done? You created your own personal library of. Mm-hmm. So you use different fonts from a different letterer. It's not like you go out there to fonts.com and download a few and then just use those. Nope.
I sort of, that's the one thing I pride myself on, is that the fonts I've done or the fonts I use are made by me. I've got, besides me, I've got 4 or 5 guys working for me who also letter the books. So anytime you see those books that say like VC Corey Pettit or VC's Randy Gentile or Russ Wooten or Joe Caramagna or Dave Sharp, those guys are working for me, and they're using my fonts, as part of the deal. But yeah, I mean, like I said early on, I realized that's what I needed to do. Richard was doing it, and I saw it, and I said, I gotta do my own stuff. I haven't sold my stuff. That's probably why nobody really sees the amount of fonts I have. All these other guys tend to sell what they've got, and I haven't. Just with the thought of, well, why would you hire me to do your book if you can just go buy my font?
Right. Well, that's what I always thought. That's why I was always curious when things went to computers. What made each letterer different if they're still doing it on the computer? And you've really shed some light on that. And I didn't know the sound effects. I thought the artist drew the sound effects. I didn't know that was a letterer's responsibility.
Yep. I mean, there's certain cases where certain artists do it. I mean, it's in my stuff. I tend, because I know how to do it, I tend to do the sound effects on the boards. But yeah, it's all me. I had to create sound effect fonts as well. But yeah, that's sort of the fun of it all. I mean, the fact that it's all me. Whatever's on those pages I've created, and for the most part, obviously I use other fonts for like titles and whatever else that may need to be done. But
so you ever crack open some of those older books and you get those insane sound effects like those blah 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 booms and things like that?
Well, if you ever read Savage Dragon, Jamie, you'll see. I used to do. He loves hand lettering. He hates the fact that for now I've done some issues computer lettering for him, but he's actually going to letter it himself now. But up until like issue, I don't know what it was, 106, 108, something like that, I lettered everything by hand, and you'll see pages where it was just bracca, like throughout like 5 panels behind all the figures, and like that will drive you insane.
Right.
I mean, that was like you finish that up, and you're like, "Where's the adult beverages? Get them over here. Let's go. Bring them on."
Hey, this is actually, it's funny, as I'm coming up with like a million questions about lettering, and now I just completely forgot. Son of a bitch.
So close, yet so far.
No, it was a really good question. Okay. When you're doing this now, if you're not writing it on the paper, are the letters inserted as like a Photoshop layer, and nothing gets printed out or anything, or how does that work?
Okay. What we've done, especially at Marvel, we've sort of been working together. I sort of do a lot of books for Marvel now, and I've worked with the production guys, and we've sort of worked out a system. Basically, what I do is they'll give me a low-res, or maybe not so low-res, black and white scan. I then bring it into Illustrator, the program I usually use, and we letter everything over that. In the meantime, the colorists like Chris Soto and whoever else is doing the books are coloring, so we're saving time now.
Sure.
Instead of, it used to be that I would letter it, then it would go to the inker would ink it, and then it would go to the colorist. Now we've killed some time, and so I'll letter it that way. The editors go and proof it, and make any changes they want to make, usually rewriting half the script, because God knows nobody can write the script right the first time. And so we do all that, and once the final things are done, we remove the artwork and save it as the EPS.
Oh, okay.
Does this mean anything to anybody other than computer guys? I don't know. Then we used to use Quark, but it's now everybody's been using InDesign now.
Yeah.
And it's a page layout program. It's for anybody who doesn't know. And so you can insert. We've created templates, so you can literally insert the artwork, and it locks into a right position, like exactly where it's supposed to be, centered on the page. And then you take the lettering, and that we've created so you can. It's the same exact size, and you place that as well right on top of it, and they line up exactly. And then you now can go and do all the artwork and all the lettering, and it's all electronic. The only printouts are done usually in-house by Marvel when they're just proofing it.
Sure.
And they'll just, because a lot of people are still into the handwriting. You wrote the wrong, dumbass, and and they send it back. But that's it. And then even then, they scan it back in this thing called a fast scan. They just stick these pages in there, and it goes tick, 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 and it scans it in like no time and creates a PDF.
Sweet.
And then that's what they send back to us. So I don't. FedEx used to be my best friend. Like, he used to come over and we'd have a drink together every time he'd come pick up, because he'd be there every night. But now, it's all electronic. I can just post it on FTP and we're good to go. Now you're going to go and buy artwork that's created these days, and you won't have lettering on it as opposed to years ago. So
there was a time, I don't know if it was when computer lettering was just, get in its infancy or whatever, but there were a lot of misspellings in comics, and
oh sure,
I don't see it too much now, but there was a time when it was like double words, and it was like, what the hell's going on over there?
Well, yeah, see, that's what a lot of people forget about this. It also is a business, and whereas this is one book for the reader, think about this. I mean, Marvel's putting out 70 books a month or something like that. I mean, something insane like that, and you're dealing with so many things going on, and for the most part, they have so many people reading out. These days, it seems to be there's a lot more reading out. You've got every editor's just about 2 assistant editors, if not more. They all read through it. The editor reads through it. They have 2 copy editors who go through it. The book then goes to a different editor who reads it out. I guess they call it the readout editor, who goes over this, looks at the story. Is there stuff missing, or did they not understand anything, or maybe catch even some final stuff? Then after the book is totally put together in that InDesign program, they do another round of checking. So believe it or not, even though some stuff may get through, because usually it happens right when it's printed, and you go, son of a... It always shows up right at that moment when you have it printed. But a lot of people look at this stuff. I know that's a big thing, and everybody has sort of done that. I even correct stuff as I'm lettering, and I'll go like, okay, this guy doesn't know how to use spell check. Okay. Mr. Bendis, I know you're listening. Now he's going to kill me. But yeah, and it takes a lot. There's a lot of stuff, and it's funny because there's different grammatical things that are different from place to place. Like if go look at the credits at DC, and then you go look at the credits at Marvel, you'll notice that penciler is spelled 2 different ways.
Like a double L or
yeah, DC does 2 L's, and Marvel does 1. I know that Marvel and DC own the copyright on the term superhero, but they have 2 different ways of spelling it. Right. One, I can't remember which is which. So this is how much I can do it. One has a hyphen, and one doesn't. And that's what the agreed upon thing is. I mean, it's just these bizarre little things. So, most publications, when you say okay, they do the 2 letters okay. At Marvel, we like to use the word okay, O-K-A-Y. So there's all these weird little things and snafus, and things get through.
And then there's different writers' interpretation of grammar as well.
Right.
Like my number one pet peeve is the misuse of the apostrophe. Apostrophe is for possession, not for plurality. So if I get straight A's, it's capital A, lowercase s, no apostrophe. If I have a DVD collection, I have DVDs, it's DVDs, no apostrophe. And
somebody's taking this serious.
Yeah, I know it's a little hardcore.
Look at your talking to
Brian's soapbox.
Yeah.
But I see that. One writer will do it correctly, and then one writer will throw in the apostrophe, and it's like, damn it! There should be a house rule that says we're going to do it one way or the other, and it doesn't matter what the writer wants.
Yeah. The big things are, if you want to get boring into grammatical stuff, but it's the theirs.
Oh yeah.
Where everybody doesn't know the which there to use in any specific sense. All these kind of things come through where you're just kind of like, it's. I don't think any writer who writes comic books knows the difference between possessive, it's, with the apostrophe. I mean, nobody gets it. And it's so, you just go, dude, here's a grammar book. Go read.
What about having to dialogue Thor? Letter Thor's dialogue.
Yeah. I don't know. They make that crap up. Thous, these, and those, and it's like whatever. People are just going, Stan wrote it this way, I'm doing it that way too.
Well, plus they also have, especially I know when Busiek was doing Avengers, they also had a different, that Asgardian font that they used for him.
Yeah, we sort of did the same thing. I didn't use the same font. Obviously, I created my own, and I sort of did this very kind of decorative font. And,
right.
A lot of it, most people have said enough already. And again, that goes back to what I was saying about not standing out. And when Dan Buckley first came back, he came back tomorrow, but he came on as publisher. The first thing he did, not the first thing, he called me. And if you remember, there was a point where we were doing everything upper and lowercase. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he came on and he said, "Okay, first things first, we're going uppercase." I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then the other thing he had said was, let's not show off here. You don't need 50 million fonts on a book.
Right.
Let's settle down here. And I was like, "Good, I agree with you. Let's not go crazy." So, yeah. I mean, in certain cases, it's great. You want to do a certain font to show that somebody's like, a monster, or somebody's this, or somebody's that. But there can be a point where you get too crazy with that stuff, and it's like, okay, why do we have 50 million balloons and fonts for these people when we can just... Because then you start to look at it all, or with the Thor stuff, I know people were saying to me, it's getting tough to read this stuff.
Right.
I'm looking at this stuff and I'm going, oh, God, it's taken me an hour just to get through this page to understand what you lettered here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't want to do it either. But, certain people, editors request it, or there's certain looks, and you want to make everybody happy. Certain people like it, so you sort of get, the writer goes, "I want this, do it." Okay. So you got to do whatever the writer, the artist, and the editor tell you to do. That's who you're serving as a lettering guy, and that's what I do. I just make sure that they're happy, and that's all that matters.
Well, we're happy.
Oh.
So,
well, you've got porn and peanuts, so come on. How unhappy can you be? But and I promise, give me your address, and I will do a drawing for all of you guys, because I know you were all depressed that Jamie got the
No, I want to be the only one.
No, hell no, I want one. After I saw that,
pay his ass for one.
No, he owes me for holding up McFarlane talking baseball for an hour.
Well, I thought I owed you a steak dinner for that.
No,
I want the steak dinner.
Yeah.
I'd rather have original artwork. It's more sentimental.
So you remember as a kid, see? My sister went for the candy, I went for the comic books. See, you're smart.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Peter over there. Who's the...
I weigh $155, so...
Yeah, there you go.
I barely top 130,
And my son's now shooting me with a Star Wars blaster, so you'll be happy to know that, huh? We're turning the geeks on. What is it, one geek at a time?
Yeah.
See, I listen to you guys. Everybody listens.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, Chris, we really appreciate...
Do you hear this kid?
Oh, yeah.
Brian, this is your life. It's all over. This is like a snapshot of your future. It's all over for you now.
It's like a Wookiee attack.
I know. But he's got his blaster pistol, so...
Oh, man.
But wait, his mom's going to get in touch with him, and he's going to...
She will use the Force.
See, Brian, you know what this should be like? This should be like A Christmas Carol. And it's just,
right, the ghost of right, yeah.
I mean, you're done with now. It's all over. As I run away from them, I go into the dining room to get away from them.
All right, Chris. So, well, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and I know I certainly learned a bunch of stuff.
Well, sorry if I babbled on endlessly and bored.
No, not at all.
No, I was looking forward to it.
I wish I had like some really good stories to tell you, like good stuff about dirt about people. But
Well, you can save that for round 2.
yeah, unfortunately, most of the people in the industry are really good guys. So unfortunately, I can't give any good dirt. I
That's
wish
all right.
I had. All right, Eric dresses up in women's clothes. Okay, there you got it.
At least we got an answer to where Todd McFarlane was.
That's good.
There you go.
It does make it a little better. At least you were having fun.
Well, it was nice. It was a very nice, and I totally felt bad. I was like, you gotta go, you gotta go.
Sean,
He's Todd McFarlane. What does
Sean
he
kept making. He kept getting phone calls, and then he would say, "Okay, Todd's 15 minutes away." That was at 8:30.
Yep.
And then at quarter to 10, Todd's 15 minutes away, and then at 10:15, he still wasn't there, and we went, "All right, we're out of here."
Aw, I feel bad. It's all my fault. I'm a bad man.
That's a great story, though.
It is good.
Well, he had a long weekend too. He was
sure.
running left and right, so I can only imagine. But
Well, you can email me his phone number later then, and we'll get him for an interview.
like I get his phone number.
Well, what? Okay, you don't, Mister, hanging out with Eric Larson all day. You,
Well,
you don't think
that's
Eric
it.
has his phone number?
That's the only reason that Todd was hanging out with me was because of.
Well, you do whatever it takes.
That now this is what it takes, huh? Forget the steak dinner, forget the sketch. We're going right to the phone number, huh?
I still want the dinner.
No, I still want the sketch.
Nice.
All right, Chris.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for talking to a boring old man like me.
Well,
Hey,
thank
thanks
you.
for being on the show.
Hey, no, my pleasure. Anytime. If you want to just call in like every week and just go, say something stupid, I'll just say something stupid.
Cool.
All right.
Norm, every time I come on, he's Norm.
There you go.
So,
Well, have a great night, and keep your kid under control.
they're twins, so.
Oh, jeez.
Brian, feel lucky. Have you checked yet to see if it's twins?
No, first ultrasound's not for like another month and a half.
Yeah, well, I remember when they showed me the picture, the sonogram, the first one, and they went, "What do you see?" I said, "I don't know, I see a blob." And they went, "How many blobs?" And my reaction was 2 words, and they weren't "thank you." Well, the second one was "you." But, that's just the way it goes. So good luck, Brian.
Thanks, Chris.
Because it's all over now. Remember those times you like to sit on the couch and watch TV late at night, and instead your kid is going to scream at you and shoot you with a fake gun? And so it's all over. Sleep. Think of the past.
Yeah.
There you go.
Enjoy the sleep now. Just sleep for the next 8 months. Because it ain't going to, it's all over. So. And Peter, you're the Mac Daddy.
Thanks. I don't know what for, but thanks.
Even though you're just a waiter.
I'm not just a waiter. I wouldn't lower myself to be a waiter. Ooh, I just pissed off a lot of people.
Hey, come on. These are the people listening to you.
I know. I'm sorry. I
Everybody out
apologize.
there, what Peter just said was total fabrication for humor's sake and nothing else. So
Right,
please
exactly.
don't abide by.
All I know is I'm not going to eat with him anymore. That's that one waiter puts his finger in the food. Just make sure it's Peter's food.
I mean, I'm not doing anything better. I'm just, just starving to death. I don't even want it.
You're delivering flowers.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go. Well, it could be worse. You could be like a legal assistant or something like that.
Oh, Jamie.
Hey,
See, I know everything. This is how sad my life is. Where my life is a podcast.
How does he even know that? I don't even remember talking about that.
It's
Has it
on
slipped
the,
in?
I think it's on the
right?
forum or it's on the...
That's
I
funny.
don't know. We've said it before
Yeah.
or something.
See, I have nothing better to do all day but to listen to podcasts. So
That's why we keep on putting them out.
That's right.
this is all scary. This is all really scary stalker stuff. Right?
yeah, I know, right? Look out! I'm coming to get you. See, I retain all this stuff, and I don't know why. So I just do. But I'm sorry. I'm going to let you guys go.
Okay.
All right.
We'll let this show end at 3 hours now?
Yeah.
Now we only got. That's an hour and 10. That's not bad.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
I won't babble on next time.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Well, have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye.
That was cool.
Go to Brian brought up comicbookdb.com. Man, there's just under Chris Eliopoulos' letters, just tons and tons of
Yeah,
titles.
it's a huge list.
My gosh.
Let's see. Is Deathmate on there? No.
Oh, they
Somebody's got to add one there. And Chris, if you're listening now, you got to go to comicbookdb.com and enter your bio and your information on there because it's all blank. So
Wow.
So are we going to do our thing?
Yeah,
or-
let's do it.
All right.
Top 5 X-Men. Top 5 X-Men villains. This is in honor of the newly released X3 trailer, which I just saw today. What's today? Tuesday. And I actually liked. I actually got excited about it. I mean, I don't want to give too much away because I know Brian doesn't like trailers, but I wasn't excited about reading about it. New director, saw some pictures, blah, and then I saw it and I went, oh, I'm excited again. So
Was it the same one they had at the Comic-Con?
Hold on. Yeah,
hold
there
on.
you
Go ahead. Sorry.
Was it the same one that they had at the Comic-Con?
I didn't see it there. So
No, you didn't see it
No.
at the Marvel stand?
No. But there's some good. Looks good. So I said, why don't we do a top 5 X-Men? So top 5 X-Men. Who wants to go first? All right, I'll go first.
It's your idea.
Yeah, top 5 X-Men. Only one original actually made it on my list, but not even in his original form. Angel, when he was after the whole Archangel stuff, he still had the blue face and the Archangel costume, but he wasn't as intense. Like he was dating Psylocke at the time, and he it felt like he had a place, a reason to be. He wasn't. You know how he always has the crush on Jean Grey, and he was the playboy, and he had all these extraneous girlfriends. Well, now he was actually dating another X-Men, and it made sense, and it didn't feel forced. So I kind of dug Angel at that point. Kitty Pryde has even when we did the top 5 females, she's been on my list. From the 80s, the Chris Claremont, John Romita Jr. X-Men, Uncanny X-Men run. I really dug her in that book, in that series, in that run. So she's on my top 5 X-Men list. Colossus, probably for the sheer selfish reason that his name is Peter in Russian, I think. And I actually like the way Joss Whedon is writing him in Astonishing X-Men. There for a while, he was a character that was kind of looking for some kind of reason to exist. And then, I assume that's why they killed him off. But I liked what Joss Whedon is doing with him. Rogue. I've always liked Rogue. I can't say I really care for her nowadays. I guess it all goes back to when you first start reading. First start reading these things. Again, the Claremont Romita Jr. I liked her when Jim Lee took over in the artwork. She which is also going to lead into my next X-Men top 5 X-Men is Gambit. Again, but this is the Gambit that was the 90s, the early Gambit, when the new title, X-Men, the just regular X-Men book came out. Excuse me. And there wasn't much known about him, so there was some mystery. He added a neat new dynamic to the group. He gave Rogue, it gave Rogue a chance to have a love interest, and he was worth it then. They kind of lost track of his character as well, too, there for a while, and I have no idea what he's up to nowadays. But so those are my 5. Angel, Kitty Pryde, Colossus, Rogue, and Gambit. Next.
Let's go around the room.
Okay, so everybody looks at me next. Again, no particular order. I, too, have Colossus on my list. But for me, it's Colossus from... A lot of these ones that I'm going to say are from the Byrne Claremont run, because that's my run. That's my favorite run. That's X-Men at their best, and they haven't been as good as those ever, at least as far as I'm concerned. There have been some good stuff, but to me, that's the high point. And just the whole, when he was a proletariat with Arcade and all that, I love those stories. I always loved the Fastball Special. And just, the big, strong, silent type has always been characters that I've always kind of been drawn to. Man, I'm sick, too. We got Nightcrawler's my next one. Again, a mysterious character, background, kind of an outsider, a true mutant, who couldn't really hide who he was. He could kind of hide in the shadows, but, he could never hide the true... person he was. I love that character. Throughout all the incarnations, I've kind of followed him into Excalibur and I was glad that they brought him back. Beast, big blue furry and funny. That's the Beast to me. I don't mind him right now. He's not too bad, although, he's more like the Cowardly Lion looking from, Wizard of Oz. But just those storylines with, and it also, the Beast, blue, furry, and funny, kind of goes into my love of the Avengers when he was with the Avengers. Just, him and Wonder Man going out to the movies and just joking around, having fun. That's, to me, the Beast. I don't mind the super intelligent Beast or the more serious, but he should always have humor backing up. He can be smart, but there should always be the underlying humor, and that's to me the best way for anybody to write the Beast. Kitty Pryde, because really that was the first character I saw that felt like a teenager. I mean, I hadn't read the original ones when I first started reading the Byrne. And even reading the original ones, I never felt that they were teenagers. I always felt that they were in their late teens, early 20s. But this was the first time you really saw that these were like teenage mutants. You could go through the whole relating the teen, the angst as a teenager to the whole mutant. The outsider trying to find their place in the world, feeling like they're an outsider even if they're not. So anyway, Kitty Pryde, plus her whole dynamic with Colossus. I always enjoyed watching that relationship grow over the years. And Storm. When Byrne and Claremont introduced Storm, I just thought it was such a great character. I'm not sure if I'm loving what they're doing with her now. I don't like to see, just because she's a black female character, they have to push her together with the Black Panther. That's, I don't see that maybe they had to do that. I mean, they've done that in alternate universes throughout, the comics, so I don't know if I really like seeing that. But when they first brought her in, I just thought she was a great character. I liked her progression from just team member to team leader. When she fought Cyclops for leadership of the X-Men, I was surprised the way they ended that one. I really wasn't seeing them going with her as a leader, but it made sense once they did it. It took the team in another direction, which I liked, and it really, I thought, matured her character into, a different character. She was at a certain point, and then they just, jacked her up and put her towards a leadership role, which I didn't see coming, but I did like. So those are my 5.
All right, first I'd have to say Psylocke for some reason. I remember reading a couple issues of X-Men back in the 90s with her in, so that just jumped into my mind. I'll go with the old cliche of Wolverine, just because I like the way they're doing it with Hugh Jackman. And actually, whenever I'd read a Wolverine comic or something with him in it, I always had I don't know who the voice was, but from the 90s cartoon, the original one, not when they reintroduced it, but whoever did the voice had that just seemed perfect to the way Wolverine should sound. And then my other 2, because I only had 4, because I'm not really a big X-Men fan, but I have to go with Iceman and Firestar. Just going back to one of my favorite cartoons growing up, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So.
Plus, you have that thing for redheads.
I have that thing for redheads, and in fact, if by some weird chance that I would wind up having a kid, despite the fact that I don't want one, and it was a girl, Angelica is the second choice I would have for second name choice for her to be, because of Firestar.
All right, for me, no particular order. Havoc, only because he's got the coolest costume with those 3 metal things on his head. When I was a kid, that was like the first costume I really dug, and I mean, he's hardly been in X-Men very much, but and now he's back, but he's got that costume that doesn't the same. So now I don't give 2 shits about him. But back then it was awesome.
That was your first sketch you got,
yeah, from Dan Atkins. Yeah, I got it, and he is like, "Who's Havoc?" So I had to go find a comic and drop it off at his table so he could draw Havoc. I'm also on the Kitty Pryde bandwagon because she's just fun, and her powers seem to come in very handy all the time, and she's got the most personality, I think, of any of the X-Men, period. So that's probably why she's fun.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention also Lockheed. I love. I love a dragon. That's kind of cool.
And then I have Nightcrawler because he's always been a blast, and the blue/purple skin is cool, and the bamfing all the time, and that's just fun. I have Archangel. And again, it's really a costume thing for me. The blue and the red and the metal wings. That's just awesome. I really don't. The regular Angel I think is incredibly lame. The big fuzzy feathers. That's just stupid. That's not cool looking for in my head. And then number 5 was kind of a toss up between two of the early '90s fun stuff, and that's Forge and Bishop. Both just fun characters. When you're, I was still in high school, and the whole X thing was really happening, and I guess it was before the whole Jim Lee thing, when Silvestri was still doing it. I mean, when did Bishop come in? It was maybe during the Jim Lee run, or maybe early.
It was the Portasio stuff.
Oh, that was Portasio, and that was after Jim Lee. Right. But
no. It ran concurrent. Portasio was in Uncanny, and Jim Lee was in just X-Men.
No, but Jim Lee drew Uncanny before Will Portasio drew Uncanny.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. It was before when they did the revamp.
I don't consider X-Men. The only title I consider X-Men is Uncanny X-Men because that's the X book. But
so it was after the Jim Lee Uncanny.
Right. That's what I meant. Okay. Yeah. But Forge, I mean, obviously was around with the whole Storm losing her powers thing and everything, and he was just cool. Gadgets.
He almost made my list.
All those I love gadget guys. That's just fun.
I think also because he was a different mutant. They treated his power differently. It was when they started doing the whole. They started calling him the Maker, and they started to expand his powers a little bit more. That's when it started to for me. I was like, that's not the Forge I'm going to read.
Yeah. So those are my 5/6.
That'll make up for my.
There you go. I had to even it out.
All right. So X-Men villains. Cassandra Nova, she was introduced in the Morrison run as.
Gee, how did I know he was going to put that down?
She, as a concept though, it works, and apparently we haven't seen the last of her either. I like villains that are challenges, and sometimes when I look at some of the X-Men villains, they just don't seem like challenges, or that they're never going to go away. Sabretooth is never going to go away, and freaking Omega Red is never going to go away, and they're never going to beat Apocalypse. You know what I mean? So
way to chop up my list over.
You're welcome. But so she actually posed a threat, and I kind of dug that. I like the Hellfire Club. When it's the right mix with Sebastian Shaw and when the White Queen used to be part of it, and Donald Pierce, but then there was the shorter bearded stubbier guy
Leland, or I know it was Leland, but I can't think of what his last name was.
There was that whole battle that they had where Nimrod then showed up. It was right around 210 or something like that, and they were fighting in Central Park, and they can run with the X-Men. They can stand up to them, and just something about the Hellfire Club I kind of dig when it's
Harry
the right person.
Leland.
There you go.
Okay, I knew it was Leland.
I liked the concept of Magneto's acolytes, but I never felt they did enough with them. When they first started, it was great because they were like Magneto's X-Men, But then all of a sudden there's 50 million of them, and it was oh man, they just blew this concept too big. They made it too big. But again, it felt like as Professor Xavier was bringing up his army, so was Magneto, and you thought it was going to go somewhere, and it just never went anywhere. And I liked when Colossus jumped ship, and he went over and became an acolyte, and it was they were dealing with some interesting stories there. It just never really went as far as I think they could have taken it. The next two, I'm pretty sure started as X-Men villains, but then they've been seen elsewhere. But the Fenris twins, Strucker's children, these two blondes, and Andreas and something von Strucker or something like that. And when they combine their powers, they're very powerful, and they were just it was a neat look when they first showed up in that one John Romita Jr. book, and I really dug that. So
I liked it when they were called the Wonder Twins.
And on top of my list are the Sentinels. Gotta love the Sentinels. Gotta love big giant robots and that can strike fear in the hearts of mutants everywhere. So anytime that they're in a story, when they're used right or used for the right effect, I dig it. So that's my 5.
All right, my 5. Of course, I got to go with the big bad. Magneto. I've enjoyed his character from the very beginning, from the very first time I ever saw him. I mean, they've done everything with him, and right now, the way he is, I think, is interesting. I want to see what they do with him now. But he's just been a character that I think, I love the backstory, the whole concentration camp, everything. I thought that was just great. Another one is from one of my favorite X storylines, and I know he first appeared in Marvel Team Up, but Arcade. He's appeared all over, but that Byrne, like 3 or 4 issue where he trapped the X-Men, and that was a proletariat storyline, and he's always been a character I've enjoyed, and I'm really looking forward. I've read the first. The last time I saw him was in The Thing #1. I've read the first one. I still have to read the second and third one. I want to see what they do with him, but he's a favorite X-villain. I had put the Blob because I got to put a big character, being the big guy in the group, but I took him off, and I'm going to put the Juggernaut. I just, again, another good character. I mean, yeah, he's maybe a one note character, but I think they've done a lot with him. The fact that he's, Xavier's brother or stepbrother, brings him into the group. It, makes him misunderstood. Charles always got all the glory. He got all the, he felt he didn't get the love. I've always loved those dynamics in stories. They've it looks like they're bringing him around into being maybe a good guy now because, he's working with Excalibur, so I kind of like that. But he's always just been a favorite bad guy. So nothing stops the Juggernaut. Mystique. Again, a character I like because she can become anybody. And it's just, I've always enjoyed those characters, doppelganger characters that, you think you know who it is, and it winds up that's not who it is, and so on and so forth. So she's a character I enjoy, and like Peter, I put down the Hellfire Club and the original Hellfire Club, the Sebastian Shaw, Henry Leland. First time you saw him, Wolverine coming out of the sewers to get the Hellfire, take down the Hellfire Club, and damn it, he killed Harry Leland. Don't give me any bullshit. It was a freaking robot. That was such a damn cop out. But anybody who read that knows what I'm talking about. But those are my favorite bad guys. And again, like Peter said, there's so many lean, X-Men bad guys out there that to find really cool ones.
Mojo.
Yeah. Long Shot and Mojo and all that crap. I mean, to find good ones is tough. So for me, that was a tough list.
All right. As previously mentioned, Arcade and Juggernaut, just because the Juggernaut, I have to go back to an episode of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends where you first had the X-Men in there. And Arcade, for some reason, I remember, I don't know where it is anymore, but it's one of the earliest things I've ever read in comics was like a little digest-sized book where the X-Men went into, Arcade had him trapped. And I just remember something happened where Wolverine... the one scene that really sticks out in my mind is Wolverine was thinking to himself, I guess he had to go up against Colossus about, would he be able to hurt Colossus suited up, with his claws, what kind of damage that would do. But I don't remember I don't think anything happened there for whatever reason, but that's just a scene that popped out in my head. Pyro, for some reason, I just thought he was a cool villain, but kind of more henchman, he's not going to come up with any big schemes. William Stryker, just because of X2. From my understanding, it's different in the comic, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. Not completely, with the whole Sun thing didn't really appease me, but I just kind of thought what they did with him, with connecting him to Wolverine, kind of seemed interesting. And this one might get thrown out because I don't read X-Men, because I'm not into team books, but Deadpool, I always thought he was kind of, a mercenary, but he still does that banter that I found interesting whenever I read his dialogue. So that's the list.
All right. I only have 3 because I couldn't think of any that weren't very lame. I mean, I might give you 4. The Sentinels, I mean, all Sentinels are cool. That's just, there's no question about that. Apocalypse, because I'm a sucker for Simonson, and he looks cool. He's got a cool uniform. Pretty much, when it comes to characters, I'm about the visual, very, very much so about the visual. The one that's probably a very lame character, but I guess probably when I was younger, it got me, was Sauron. Giant flying pterodactyl. I mean, he's stupid. He's a really lame character, but
He's stupid.
It's a dinosaur, so it's cool, And I will give you, I guess, the Hellfire Club. Those burn issues when, like you said, with Wolverine coming up in the sewers. I mean, that's cool. But I couldn't think of a 5th. I don't know.
I liked it when they did that X-Men episode, the cartoon. And you just see...
Always with the cartoon. Did you ever read any X-Men comics?
I told you, I'm not really into the... Team books never really appealed to me. They had too many personalities going on. That I was just like, come on, I always found it more difficult where you have some big challenge, but you have like, for instance, the Justice League. Even though I subscribe to the, I pick up those titles. Look who, your main members. You got like Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern. You can't tell me there's something that massive that it's not going to be taken care of in one issue, with all the diverse powers they had. So I was never really into the X-Men. And there's so many books, it's hard to keep track of which one should I read. But, because I've read the Dark Phoenix saga. But the cartoon, I liked it, the way they did that whole Dark Phoenix thing. That's my X-Men, all right? For Christ's sakes. I didn't read the books. I was too busy with Spider-Man at the time.
I love that no one put Cyclops as their favorite X-Men.
He was too much of a...
Oh, it's so boring.
It takes a good writer. It takes a good writer to make him stand out.
All right,
too much of a goody two-shoes.
Yeah, I think I just thought of perhaps a 5th. It's a borderline villain. Is the pudgy, circle glasses wearing doctor from the Weapon X thing that he created Wolverine, but he might have created other things, that could be villains of, and could, he's kind of an evil guy, if he's even around, if he's really in continuity or not, we don't really know yet.
Who knows anymore?
But, that I kind of dig that concept of, where they were churning out these guys and we don't really know yet who was really involved in Weapon X. So that guy, that Professor Doctor guy, he's my 5th X-Men villain.
Well, I'm surprised nobody mentioned Xavier.
I guess I don't really think of him as an X-Men because he's like the leader or the guy, the founder, or whatever. So
He was always, in the stories I read, he was always out of commission. It was one of those where they always kind of put him out of commission because he was too powerful. And then when he was there, it was always, I'll turn off his brain. And then, that's the way he took care of things. So, it's, again, all too powerful characters don't excite me.
Plus, I hear they're having problems converting the Blackbird to a handicap lift.
Oh my goodness!
Well, he got the floating wheelchair instead of the...
Think of the spot yet.
We're running out of time, but we got to sneak one in here, Peter.
You can park the Blackbird anywhere.
All right, this one's from Randy Dixon, and it's an All Legion one.
Is there any other from him?
He said, question number 1. On the cover of Adventure Comics 354, you see 5 Legionnaires who have died in service. The ones that Peter should be familiar with are Pharaoh Lad, Shadow Woman, Chemical King, and Reflecto. Multi-part question. Who was the 5th one?
Name the ones that he just said. What?
Pharaoh Lad, Shadow Woman, Chemical King, and Reflecto. It's a female. The 5th one was a female.
Oof. Princess Projectra.
No, it's Quantum Queen. What was she? What did she die doing?
Shut up, Matt. Rescuing Earth.
preventing an escape from Cosmos prison? And C, was she ever a member of the Legion, and if so, when?
No, and never.
No, she was one of the Wanderers, but isn't found in pre-Zero Hour Legion lore. So you got 1/3 of question number 1. Question 2. Starboy was expelled from the Legion of Superheroes for killing someone. Who did he kill, and on what planet were they on?
No idea.
See how much we love these. What planet were the Legionnaires on?
Yeah.
Ken's Nuor on the planet Karak.
Okay.
Question number 3. In Superboy 200, starring the Legion of Superheroes, the Bouncing Boy and Duo Damsel wedding, who kidnapped Duo Damsel? Why? And why was this so incredibly lame?
It's Starfinger that kidnaps her because I think he wanted her powers. She has duplication powers, so he wanted her powers. And why was it lame? Because it was the Silver Age, and because that's why.
Okay, Starfinger's correct. Why? He wanted to discover how she split into two people so he could do the same thing multiple times, creating multiple Starfingers. So you got that right, too.
Okay.
And he has, why was this so incredibly lame? See, all natives of her home planet, Karg, have the power to split into 3 people. Why not just grab a native instead of drawing the Legion of Superheroes in? Stupid. So
doesn't Silver Age cover that, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna
exactly.
say.
So you got one for 3.
One and
You
a
pulled
third.
that out.
Scheisse.
You got the 50-50 one.
Manischewitz.
All right. So that brings us to the end.
Yep.
This episode of Comic Geek Speak was sponsored by our listener, Joe Sergi. Joe, we appreciate that very much. And a big thanks to Chris Eliopoulos for joining us and teaching us all kinds of cool stuff we didn't know about lettering. And comic strips and a bunch of other stuff. And porn and peanuts. Yeah, that's right. And if you would like to send us an email, it's comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. And visit our website at comicgeekspeak.com. A big thanks to upallnightgaming.com for hosting the website. And please vote for us at Podcast Alley. It's comicgeekspeak.com/vote. A reminder that we are brought to you in conjunction with worldfamouscomics.com, your spot on the internet for the best comic book and entertainment-related columns, contests, features, reviews, news, resources, and more. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.